Why, hello out there, and welcome to Small Beards and Big Opinions.
Where the world is crazy, but luckily, so are we.
My name is Eddie Boyce.
And I'm Shaner.
Back at it again, boys.
Yep, just
New
like we
year.
never
By the
left.
time you hear this,
I was gonna say
assumedly,
not yet, but yeah, I guess you're
yeah,
right.
we're in like the last week of 2023. But hey, Happy New Year, guys. Hope your year was good and 2024 is better for y'all.
Sure. Yeah, it'll get better, I'm sure.
We won't have a World War III. It'll be fine.
No.
Ukraine won't spin out of control. Wow, I
No.
just got really political. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
folks.
you
I'm sorry,
you just
folks.
dive right. Let's just throw in Israel while we're at it.
Oh, okay. Shanner. That's too much. You can't go
You're
there.
right. You're right. Oh, let's back it up a little bit.
Yeah, back it up to meaningless, trivial things like, ba-da-ba-da-bum, our favorite things of 2023.
Woo.
Yeah, we're jumping on the bandwagon. We're doing the list thing. Each of us, me and Shanner, we got a 3x3 grid, which if you don't know what that is, it's just a box of 9 things.
Yeah, if you
It's an
can't
internet
count
thing.
what 3x3 grid means, then I don't know, go back to elementary school.
Okay, Shanner, you asked me what a 3x3 grid
Well,
was.
I didn't ask you what a 3x3 grid was. I asked you how that, like, what it is in the context of the show, not what a physical 3x3 grid looks like.
Hmm. I think you're
You're like,
covering, but okay.
three at
Sure.
the top, three down the side, or three at the bottom?
I think you're covering, but fine, whatever. Anyways, folks, I don't know. It's an internet thing. If you don't know, me and Shannon are presenting our favorite things that we either saw, did, experienced in the year. Just like a nice little positive thing. Nothing crazy.
Nothing crazy at all.
We're going to start off with my list, which, if I can get the thing to work, and I'm going to send to Shaner because he hasn't seen this yet. This is his first reaction, and I'll do the same for Shaner's. But,
There it is. Okay. This looks like a fun list.
oh, thanks.
Let's start with the bottom right corner. I'm curious what that is.
Bottom right hand, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite video games that I played in 2023. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is a passion project by a company in, I believe, Denmark. I believe they're located in Denmark. But the whole premise of the game, it's based off of a game made in like the early 2000s called Jet Set Radio, which was like this roller skating, gang affiliated, graffiti type game. So you basically would run around. Basically, the point of the game in this and in Bomb Rush Cyberpunk in Jet Set Future, the purpose of you're a small gang trying to stake out land and ground, basically. And the way you do that is by graffitiing places around the city, avoiding cops, beating the other gang members in different challenges and stuff. That's the main gist. It's just a really fun game. I played Jet Set Radio Future when I was a kid. That was, like I said, early 2000s. This game was released in 2023, so like 20-year gap between these games. So
Right.
I've been waiting for a spiritual successor for a really long time, and a bunch of other people were on the internet. And this game came down, it delivered. I mean, it's great. It's a great game. If you didn't play the original, you're like, we're all into it. It probably wasn't as good of an experience, but it really hit home for me, nostalgia wise. It really hit nostalgia, and I think it's a really good game. I think it's a good game.
That sounds like fun. If
Yeah, if
that
you're
that
into like, it's not like a sports game, but if you like Tony Hawk, you'd love this
hmm.
game.
Let's see. What's next to it? That I don't. I think I know everything else on this list except for what's next to that.
The one to the left.
Yes.
Okay, so those are pictures. That's a picture of my wall. So I bought some art this year.
Ooh.
So those aren't really good pictures, to be
No, not
honest.
really.
But yeah, I bought some art this year. I don't know. I just kind of ran into it, and this is the first year that me and Holly had like a good chunk of disposable income, a good chunk for us, anyways. So like in our walls are bleak. You know how it is when you're broke. You don't have much decoration, and
Hmm.
so I don't know. Like 2022, we had no art. Now in 2023, we got 3 pieces of art. It's kind of
Three
crazy.
pieces of art.
Yeah, 3. Now all
What
of
a
them are below
change.
like $100. $2. Like they're like relatively cheap pieces of art. The one I even got for like $5.
Nothing wrong with cheap art.
Yeah, but so I'm decorating my wall, and I really love the pieces. The two that I'm showing, the one's like an abstract, the one on the left, and the one on the right is like what's it called? It's like not lotus. Sorry, succulents in space or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I forget the exact name of the piece, but that's generally what it is, succulents in space, and they're just really cool art. I enjoy it, and I'm glad I have them.
My favorite pieces of art I've ever seen people put on their walls, and it's the one reason I wish I could paint, is they go to like Goodwill
Yeah.
and they'll buy just random generic oil paintings and they'll put stuff in them. Like I saw one guy took like a winter cabin and put like stormtroopers in it and stuff like that. So it still looks like a classic oil painting, but it has Star Wars stuff in it. That makes me wish I could paint. But
I've seen those videos, and it's like, it's a cool thing, but like someone worked hard on that, and you're like,
well, some of them are reproductions.
oh, okay, well, yeah, reproduction.
I'm not talking about like original, like pricey artworks, but like I said, going to Goodwill where you can tell it's all like cheap knockoff artwork.
Sure.
Unless you somehow randomly stumble across like an actual. I'm not talking about defacing a Van Gogh painting for this, but
I know that, but I've seen videos where people buy like art that's like really, just like not old timey art, but
right.
And like people like draw, like paint on them, and it's like, those are like original pieces. I don't feel good about that. But yeah, reprints and reproductions, I don't care. Whatever.
All right, let's go just the next one down on the left. I think I already know what this one's about.
Yeah.
But I'm confused about it.
Well, if you don't know, I currently live in Kansas. I've been here for 2 years. A little over 2 years now, actually. Boo. Yeah, I know. Boo, I moved away from my roommate, blah, blah, all that stuff.
Yeah, you did. Boo.
This was the first year that I felt like I really appreciated Kansas. I really like it out here. I'm not going to lie. I really love the plains. So me and Holly live in like the hilly, quote-unquote hilly section of Kansas, which it is hilly. It's called the Flint Hills.
Yeah, we'll go back to Greene County and tell me about the hills.
Well, hey, in the grand scheme of things, like, they're not that hilly, But, like, they're hilly. And the more west you go, the more flat it goes. And I just love the plains. I love how the plains look. Especially, like, during the sunsets. The sunsets are great out here.
And he's like, I love being able to see for 300 miles in any given direction.
Okay, again, in the hilly section, it's not like that. It's not like that in the hilly section as much, but you can't see really far. I like to see far away. I think it's really cool. And, yeah. Me and Holly have gone hiking a lot. Not that there's a lot of hiking around here, but the places where you can go hiking are pretty cool. We've swam in some of the lakes around here. We visited Wichita for the first time. We visited Kansas City a couple times. I like the area. I like the cities. Kansas City is a pretty cool city. Wichita is a better city than I thought it was going to be. I like how everything's spread out. Like, you have like city here, city there, and like farmland in between. Like, there's no like.
Have you seen a tornado yet?
Sorry, what?
Have you seen a tornado yet?
No. But we've had tornadoes touch down around us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
But no, I've not ever seen one. No, actually, it's weird because like whenever a tornado like comes and like there's the tornado warnings and stuff, the sky turns green.
Ooh.
Yeah, it gets really eerie. Like, you feel it. It kind of reminds me of like Fallout 3, like how Fallout 3 looks. Yeah, I think it's 3. Is it 4 or 3? I think it's 3.
No, 3's green.
Yeah. How it gets like brown. Green. It's kind of like that. It's really eerie.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah. But, yeah, I know. I really like it out here. It's not for everyone, and there's definitely some flaws about the place, but I dig it.
No, it looks like above Kansas here, you have, I think, ribs.
Yeah.
Are you making ribs?
So, yeah, I've been cooking for me and Holly for about, I guess since we've been married, so like over 4 years now. And I feel like this is the year that like my cooking's been like peak, okay? I made some bomb
swear word
ribs. Oops. I said that on air.
Just no hesitation.
Look, we'll bleep that out. Sorry, guys. But really though, they were really good ribs. Like they were better than some restaurants that I've eaten at. A little biased here because they were my own, but really good. And then for Christmas, I made prime ribs. Not prime ribs. Prime steaks. Prime ribeye steaks for me and Holly. And those are really good. So like I don't know. Those are like 2 meals. There have been other meals in my head that I've been like, wow, I'm actually like feeling like I'm kind of adequate at this point. So like I enjoy cooking, but I feel like this year I like made some pretty decent to good dishes. So I'm proud of myself for my culinary expertise this year.
Yeah, Eddie's doing his part to end the stigma on men not cooking.
Hey, more men are doing it nowadays.
In marriage, it's a good trait to have. I love cooking.
It's enjoyable. I find it to be I don't know. It gets my creative juices flowing, and I know it's not the same thing every time. So, and I like trying out new recipes and stuff. I enjoy it. It's one of those chores that I like doing.
Yeah, I definitely do like doing the cooking and the cleaning after that. Like, I am not a big person to hand over a kit cleaning in my kitchen.
Oh, okay. Well, that I could go out. I mean, I do it, but like,
no, see, I'm really particular. I don't mean I don't like, or I don't mean that I like doing it. But I am very bad at going, oh no, here, you can clean up since I cook, because I have like a very certain way I like to clean the kitchen.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah. You like people put stuff away in the wrong spots.
Exactly, they always do.
I get that. If I had to choose between someone else doing it and me doing it, I'm always going to choose someone else doing it, and then I'll complain about them putting stuff away wrong later.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do it. It'll drive me nuts.
So yeah, good meat. I've made some good meat this year. By the way, Kansas has, I don't know, it's been pretty middling because Kansas is known as like the meat state, like good ribs. Yeah. They've got good quality meat. Don't get me wrong. They got that going for them. The ribs, I don't know. I've hit some good spots. I've hit some bad spots. Overall, I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced yet, but I got to eat in more places. There was this one place in Kansas City that was A+ tier, so.
I bet in Kansas City.
Yeah, it was in Kansas City, yeah. But I've had some, like, okay ribs in Kansas City, too. So, like, I don't know.
All right, next to that, it looks like you and Holly's favorite unhealthy obsession is ping pong.
Actually, Holly hasn't played much with me this year. She's played off and on, but it's mainly me. So, long story short, me, Holly, and a bunch of other people played a lot of ping pong in college. Like, casual, not, like, competitive. I'm not like a Chinese
I'd call it competitive.
I mean, we weren't competitive, but skill-wise, we are very much casual. So, anyways, earlier this year, we bought a ping pong table. We got it at a good deal. Someone local was selling like a good quality one for a good price. So we grabbed it, and yeah, we've been playing a few, but I've been practicing myself. I've actually used it to lose some weight. I've lost like 10 pounds with it, so...
You lost weight from ping pong.
Yeah. I mean, doing other stuff too, but like I hate working out. My problem is that I hate working out, and I need to stay physical, active, because health and stuff like that. And so I like to do something that's not productive, but like I either enjoy doing, or I feel like I'm not just doing monotonously.
Yeah.
And ping pong's one of those things. So,
well, that's what you get for taking a desk job.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that one's on me.
You gotta be like my job, where I'm pushing around a cart that like weighs more than a normal sized man every day.
Yeah, that used to be me at Sheetz. When I worked at Sheetz, that used to be me. But then I sacrificed the service industry. I moved on.
See, that's my problem. Is like I feel like I would love to do a desk job, but I know myself, and if I took a desk job, it would be bad.
Yeah, that's been a really big lifestyle change for me.
But they have their advantages too. You can make your desk look nice, and
my desk does not look nice.
You gotta like throw some stuff up on your desk, I
don't know.
If I had a desk, I would have a transformer of the day or a week on that desk.
That's cool. My problem is I need every inch of my desk, like for stuff. I have a lot of papers that I work for a
Newspapers.
newspaper, for you guys who don't know. So like I have a space for like newspapers, but I got a space for like paper. I got a calendar on my desk. You got
your ashtray filled with your stress smoking cigarettes.
I don't smoke. I'm an alcoholic, Shaner.
Dude, no, if you work in a newspaper office, you have to smoke. It's just the law.
I don't smoke. Actually,
go back to every, like popular media where they have like the editor of a newspaper and he's always smoking.
Hey, you're right. You're not wrong. I mean, half the people in my office smoke, so like you're not wrong. I just don't smoke because I don't want that, and I kid that I'm alcoholic. I'm not allowed to have alcohol in the office, so like But
and he's like, "Oh, I gotta edit this newspaper. Time to down this bottle of whiskey. That'll help. Let me go yell at my employees for no reason."
Yeah, the next John Jonah Jameson, John?
Yeah,
James Jonah Jameson.
No, it's
Is it John?
Is it? Shoot, I just know it's J. Jonah Jameson. What is?
Yeah, J. Jonah Jameson. Yeah.
But what's his first name?
Look it up, Shanner.
Let's see if I can do this without my computer killing me. It's John.
Oh, cool.
That sounds wrong to say John Jonah Jameson. It's just J. Jonah Jameson.
Cool. Well,
and there's only one man that can play him. And that's J.K. Simmons. That's
true.
all I have to say about that.
He's the perfect man for the role.
Yep. Anyways, and next to that, I see Star Trek: The Next Generation, the most boring Star Trek show to ever exist.
Ooh.
I mean, oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell us your thoughts. I mean, I didn't say anything.
Oh.
I'm going to get a phone call from my dad after that one.
Oh.
No, you know what happens with my say things on the show my dad disagrees with?
Yeah.
Or like has to comment on is I forget everything we talked about on the show. And he'll send me a text when he listens to it, and I'll get the most random text that in context is hilarious and makes a lot of sense. But when I've forgotten every single thing we've talked about just because my brain does not process that well, and it has to be a common thing because I've heard other people saying the exact same thing when they do a show, is like they just forget everything about the episode they just recorded. Yeah. So he'll text me something, and I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, your show, the episode you just put out. And I'm like, oh, yeah, now it makes sense. I'll get a text about that in about, whenever the show's released. I'll be like, yep, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right. That thing, yeah.
Now Eddie is going to make my dad happy by defending Next Generation. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So me and Holly have been on a Star Trek binge this year, okay? So Holly hasn't seen. No. Let me back up. Sorry, I forget how we started, but we rewatched all of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Okay, we watched all. Okay, now we are currently on. Sorry, let me back up. So we watched all of Star Trek: Next Generation, and then Holly told me that she hasn't seen any of the movies, like none of them. Period.
Now the movies are good. As much as I don't like the show, I have seen all the movies.
The movies are good. Right, but she hadn't seen any of the original movies, like Wrath of Khan, Genesis, none of those. So we actually went back to watch all of the original, like 4 or 5 Star Trek films. And
I've only seen the 4th one, I think, of the original.
Oh, Wrath of Khan is probably
no.
If not the best Star Trek film.
Probably, I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know? Okay, well, whatever.
My favorite one of the ones I've seen, if we're not counting the 2009 remake, was First Contact. I really like First Contact.
This is a topic for another show. I wasn't a fan of the new Star Trek movies, but...
What?
I just... Moving on. Anyway, so we rewatched all the original 5 films. And then Holly was like, oh, I haven't really seen much of the original series. So now we're currently going through the original Star Trek series.
I did start watching that.
Yeah. I really like Next Generation. Okay? Now, I haven't seen Deep Space Nine or the other one. I forget what the other one's called.
Voyager?
Yeah, Voyager. I haven't seen either one of those, to be fair. Okay? So I'm not going to comment on which series is the best. I'm not going to say that. I will say, however, The Next Generation is one of my favorite TV series of all time.
Ooh.
I love Next Generation. I watched it as a kid, and rewatching it now, it just cemented how much I love it. Just Picard as a captain, the nuances of the relationship between all of the crewmates. I don't feel like now they take a lot of episodes and copy from the original series, and I just feel like it's one of those timeless shows. Like no matter when you watch it, I feel like it's always whatever it's talking about, or whatever the hidden messages, or not hidden messages. That's not a very good way. The moral of the story is. I feel like it's always applicable.
The subliminal messages.
Okay, let's not. No,
I forgot
Shaner.
that one episode where I watched it and I wanted to kill John Lennon. You know,
John. What?
that's a reference, and if you don't get it, you don't get it.
Okay.
I'll
Anyways,
explain it to you. I'll explain it to you when you're older, Eddie.
sorry, you threw me through. That really confused me. Okay.
It's a joke from another TV show. I'll explain it to you.
Okay, that's fine. I'll explain it later. Just the philosophical questions it asks, and I think overall one of the things I love about the show is mainly just like the questions that it asks. And sometimes it doesn't have a good answer, and I'm glad that the show leaves it as sometimes there isn't always a good answer. I just think the show has a lot going for it and communicates a lot. Sometimes being said, sometimes not being said. I love where the show takes the viewers mentally in the questions it poses.
And if you can avoid falling asleep, you can learn all that.
I don't think it's that boring. It's
I don't
Star
know. I
Trek's
tried
not
to
meant
watch-
to be. I don't go into it as like Star Wars. It's not an
I
action
need to
series for me.
rewatch. I watched it when I was younger, and I need to give it another chance. But I just haven't yet.
I mean, you can't go into it expecting Star Wars. It's kind of its
Well,
own
yeah,
thing.
I know that.
You have to expect
Star
it as
Wars
more
is
of a
like
more
boring older
philosophical show and not as much of an adventure show. But I digress.
All right. Well, I am also curious what ConCon.
Oh, so CanCon.
Oh,
so
can't. Okay, I was worried it was like Con.
No,
Like,
no,
what
Shaner,
are you doing?
No, I wouldn't put that. I know I slept up earlier, but I'm not that sort of person. Anyway, so CanCon is a board game convention in Kansas City.
Oh.
It happens yearly. It's also the first board game convention that I've ever been to. And so me and Holly went to that I think it was in the summer, and it was a blast. It was a great time. We had such a good time, in fact, that we actually went to another convention in the fall this year. And so I had no idea they were that fun. And I like board games, and it was a blast to learn all the board games, meet some people, look at the vendors. Great time. Definitely going to other conventions in the future. Not much to say. Just I had a really good time, and yeah, new experience I really enjoyed.
Hey, you can't beat a good convention.
Have you gone to a board game convention?
Board game convention, no.
Okay. Because I know you've gone a lot of like Comic-Con stuff.
Yeah, comic convention's usually where it ends. I'm not opposed to one, but I'm also not like super into board games. I like playing them, but I don't get into them as much as like Matt does.
Sure.
Like I enjoy a good intense board game. Like what was that one we played? It was me, you, Holly, Matt. The Sherlock Holmes Victorian one. You remember? It was in that little seaside town. You don't remember that? It was the day. It was back before you moved. The day you told me you were going to move. Anyways,
I don't know. I play a lot of board games with him. I don't remember that one in particular. It was Sherlock, like Victorian age.
Yeah, it was like Victorian, and it was in a seaside town, and we were investigating zombies or ghosts or something. And it was a real pain because the biggest problem with the game. Yeah, I think that was it.
Okay.
It was like Cthulhu something.
Mansions of Madness, probably.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that was fun, but I don't play them as often as other people do.
Sure.
I'm not saying they're bad. I just never got into them as much.
You should come over and play them with me more often.
Yeah, I'd love to, Eddie. I would love to, and we used to be able to, and then someone moved half a country away.
Rude. I'm only in the middle. I only moved like...
Yeah, that's half. Pennsylvania's practically on the coast.
Okay, but you're more toward... You're close to Ohio, okay? It's not like you're like
math.
ocean.
I'm gonna do some math for you here, okay?
Okay.
Pennsylvania's practically on the coast.
It's close. It's close. Yeah.
And you are in the middle of the state. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the middle is also called half away.
Whatever. All right,
So
fine.
you did move half a country away.
Fine, whatever. Be that way. Fine.
Now, this next one, I'm presuming, is a musical album
Uh
because it
huh.
looks like besides the music note, it just has that vibe of a music album cover.
Oh yeah, baby. 100 Gex.
Oh boy.
Uh, that's the artist. The album name is, get this, Shaner,
Oh boy.
10,000 Gex.
Whoa, didn't see that
I
coming.
know, crazy. Yeah, this was my favorite album of the year. I wish we would have had time to talk about this on Bob's and B movies. We cut the series short when this came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, this album's great. It's like hyperpop, internet shenanigans. I love it. It's great. It's wild. It's crazy. There's a song about a frog on the floor.
Whoa, a
Yeah, there's a
frog on the
song
floor?
about being the most wanted person in the United States. It's crazy. I love it.
I'm kind of curious about Frog on the Floor.
Oh, go listen to it. Just go listen to the album, just top to bottom. You'll never get bored. It's great.
All right.
I won't spoil anything. Just first listen experiences. It's golden.
And finally, here we got most popular game, I would say, of 2023, Elden Ring.
You're really close there, buddy. It's actually
What was it first?
It's game of the year for 2022.
Oh, but you just discovered it in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, I always knew it was around. I never got to play it. But long story short, I borrowed a copy from a friend of mine, and I've been playing it. Yeah, I really love this game. It's awesome. So Elden Ring is part of is made by the same people that make Dark Souls,
Boo.
which, if you don't know what Dark Souls is, think like it's a hard game. They're just typically
Yes,
hard games to
it
play.
is.
And I really enjoy. I'm not like a hardcore gamer per se. I just like how this game presents its challenges. Like there's a lot of boss fights, and I like boss fights. And yeah, there's a lot of ways to go about a boss fight. There's a plethora of ways to do it. Each boss fight and how you approach it, or you just get good and beat it, which is how most people do it, and that's what I like to do. So
Fair enough.
honestly, it's probably going to be one of my favorite games of all time. I really love this game.
Ooh, that's a high bar.
Have I shared you my top 5 games of all time
Yeah,
list?
we did that when we were on with the Garlic Boys.
No, no. Well, I actually finished my list.
Oh, did you?
I was still piecing it together by then, but I actually finished it. Actually, I guess that
What's
could have been
number
my
one?
top 5, but nah, this isn't number 1.
Then what is number one? Just a quick sidebar
Well,
here.
I'm
I want
not
to know
going
what
to
number.
spoil it. Maybe we'll turn that to another episode.
Oh, you're right. Okay, we could do that. I could talk more about video games.
I know I've shared this with a lot of people, but we can definitely put it on air. I'm comfortable sharing. Anyways, this is probably on the list. I haven't actually beaten it yet, but I've put like 70 hours into it since October. So
It looks like a big game. I just
Oh, it's
not my
huge.
type of game.
it's an open world game, but
Yeah,
with
I
that
like
Dark
open world,
Souls.
but I played Dark Souls before and I did not like it.
I don't blame you. They're hard games. They're not easy. But I like
Yeah,
a
no,
game that
I'm not
presents a
that fan.
challenge that I think the thing I like the most about it is, especially when you first, maybe not when you first play it, because it's kind of like a bicycle where you have to learn how to play. But then
yeah.
once you learn how to play, it's really fun because then every boss is like, okay, I got beaten, but I know I can do this if
Right.
I just learn enough
Right.
and get the skill down. That's what I love. It's just that mindset's really, I don't want to say addicting, but I love that sort of feeling. So, yeah, awesome game. Love it.
All right. That was a good list.
Yeah. Also, if I could put like an honorable mention.
Oh, good, because I have an honorable mention for my list.
Okay, I'll mention mine, then you can mention yours. Honorable mention. I know it's kind of whack to say doing the show, but I really liked doing the
I
show.
was thinking of that too.
I didn't want to put on. I want like a specific episode. I really enjoyed doing. Making a roommate. That was this year,
Yeah.
right?
That was, yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
that's like
That
my favorite
I would say
episode
is
we've
one
done.
of your. I'm not gonna say like because it sounds mean to say that was one of your best, meaning everything else isn't as good because it is. But just the timing, the music editing on that. I remember the first time you sent it to me. I'm like, how in the world did you turn my nonsense ramblings into like a documentary style horror movie?
The music did the hard lifting. I just randomly picked, not randomly. I chose the music, but it just so happened to line up perfectly
It
with like
lined
how
up
long the
so
clips
good.
were. I mean, I had to do some finagling, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Was that this year?
It had
Yeah,
to have
Making
been.
a Roommate was 10 months ago, so yeah, it would have been this
Yeah.
year. So, oh, and we had our first 100 view episode. That was really awesome too.
Oh yeah, with Pokey Guesser.
Yeah, Poker Guesser, which
Somehow
yeah, somehow we still get views on that. By the way, we're on 104 views now.
that's crazy.
I know. We got to do a part two eventually.
I'll do a part two.
2024 part two. Comment. Here's your comment for the day, folks. Comment on who you want on that show. We're gonna get Holly on eventually, but if I'm sure we're gonna do more than two.
Oh
So
yeah.
like, comment who you want on the show.
Do you know how many Pokemon there are?
There's over 1,000 at this point. Can you believe that?
Yeah. We could keep that going for a little while, especially if that's what the people like, you know. Who are we to
That's what the internet
digress?
wants. We'll give what the internet wants. All right, Shaner. Do you want to head up before we hit your list? Do you want to tell us honorable mention?
Yeah, sure. So my honorable mention, which I was surprised it wasn't on the list, and I thought about going to add it, but then I liked everything I already had on the list. And that would be toy collecting for the year because it was a really good year for toy collecting. For those that don't know, I collect a lot of toys from all different things. Transformers, if you couldn't tell, if Eddie can't tell, is my main thing. But uh, superhero action figures, that's the biggest one. Like posable, statue, collectible statues, stuff like that. Cosplay stuff. But like this piece right here, Eddie, you can see it, but you guys can't. That I'm pointing to, the one that's sitting in a
Mm-hmm.
chair. Can you see that one?
Yeah.
That was a crowd-funded piece that finally came in this year, and it was super nice. But yeah, there was a lot of good toy collecting this year.
You should do an episode just based on that. Cause you got quite the collection.
Yeah, this is about that's all the stuff I have on display, not counting the stuff I've stored away from my childhood that has no room on the shelf.
Yeah. All
And
right,
now I just got a
Shaner.
big box of Legos as well that I have to display.
Big old Legos.
Legos.
All right. Without further ado, I'm going to, and this is my first look too, folks. So I have no idea what Shaner's list looks like. Well, I put it on here, but like I try not to look at it. So Shaner's list. Wow, that's a list.
Yeah, start off wherever you want.
All right. Okay. Whew. Wow. Okay. Well, we're gonna start off with the obvious one. Let's do a Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, cocaine. I had to make sure this came out in 2023 because
Yeah, it
I
feels like
wasn't
forever
sure.
ago.
Yeah, but I remember when the concept came out, we thought it looked hilarious, and then I went to see it in theaters, and I did so with my wife and her brother, and it was just the most fun I've ever had watching a movie in the theater. There weren't a lot of people, and it was a very late showing. And if you don't know, being tired makes everything funnier.
Yeah.
And there were so many good bits in that movie. I know we disagree on which bits were funniest, but yeah, it was a solid standout movie. It was my first time seeing a movie that wasn't like, not my first time, but it had been a while since I've seen a movie in a theater that wasn't either like a big budget production or like a Marvel movie or a DC movie. Not quite an indie film, but close enough to being one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was just a really fun experience. And I have a lot of positive memories between that and then talking about it and watching it again because Cassie got the like extended super edition for my birthday with all the bonus features and stuff like that. And watching it again, it still holds up. I'm due for a rewatch soon. Yeah, it was just one of my more favorite movies of the year, which I didn't see a whole lot of movies this year, but that one stands out as a really good one.
What's it looks like a YouTube channel on the left
Yeah,
middle.
it is. So that is it's more specifically one series of videos from this YouTuber. The YouTuber's name is Alex Bale, Bale.
Okay.
He is like an independent filmmaker, but for some reason he started making these theory videos. And my dad texted me like, "Hey, I found these YouTube videos. You gotta watch them at least once, see if you like them." And the video was, like a conspiracy theory style YouTube video.
Right.
it was like that, but they're all based on children's cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one was like a mystery about Magic School Bus,
Sure.
where it's theorized that like all the kids are doppelgangers of their original selves, and like Arnold is Miss Frizzle, and these weird theories, and they seem like he's trying to make a joke out of them, but all of his evidence is solid, and the way he presents it is really deadpan and funny. But his most popular ones, and the ones I recommend if you have like some time when you're only half focused on your work, watch his SpongeBob theories. If you are even like half a fan of SpongeBob, they are the most insane things. But the way he backs up the evidence on them, like the most outrageous one being, how well do you know SpongeBob?
I've never actually watched SpongeBob.
Well, then these won't mean as much to you. But like he'll say the most insane thing, and you're like, there is no way this has to be like a parody video of these conspiracy theory YouTubers. But then you go on there, and all of his evidence is backed up by like moments from the show, things the producers have said, and he ties it all together. And by the end of it, you're like, huh, yeah, you know what? I guess you're right. Somehow you've convinced me. And none of this would make sense if I told you, you know, because you've never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just the most insane theories. It's like a toned down version of game theory. If you ever watched
Yeah,
those.
it sounds like old game theory when he actually was like doing crazy comparisons.
Yeah, but these are like even more crazy than his.
Okay. All right.
Um, but yeah, but then he ties it into each one at the end of each episode. It's got like a little 5 minute short film, and they all tie together to both ties to the videos and to a big film project he was working on. And the whole thing kind of explores the idea of like trying to make films while also putting out content people want versus what you want to make.
Sure.
And like I said, you probably wouldn't find them as entertaining if you hadn't watched SpongeBob, but they're just really good theories that I had a fun time watching. So yeah,
Okay.
Alex Bale, SpongeBob conspiracy theories. If you're a fan of SpongeBob, go check them out. You'll be shocked what he proves and how he's able to back it up.
So I'm just gonna finish out the middle row.
Yep.
Spider-Man into the multiverse. I mean, sorry,
Across
Spider-Verse.
across the Spider
Across
Verse,
the
the sequel.
Spider-Verse. That seems to feel pretty self-explanatory. We've talked about this before.
Yeah, Across the Spider Verse is a really good sequel to the first film. The animation got kicked up like 10 notches if you were a fan of the first film. Everything is better about the second one. They did some really cool stuff with different characters being animated in different styles. Like there's one that moves, I don't know, like a couple of frames out of turn with every other character.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took them an additional year or something to animate him. There are some characters that move in traditional 2D animation style, and that has to interact with 3D. So besides all that technical aspect, it's a really good story, and it sets up for the third movie. It was a ton of fun to watch in theaters, and I just recently rewatched it with my dad, who hadn't seen it yet, and it still holds up. It's got really good music. It's a really good continuation of the first film. I like what it talks about, and I like the animation. Like I said, that's the main reason to watch it, is to be visually blown away. Eddie, you have to go watch both films.
I know. I still haven't seen them. I'm just kind of
I'm
marveled
surprised
how.
you haven't seen. These are a whole different thing, though.
I know. I
You could
just
watch just these, and you wouldn't need to know anything else.
like. I don't know. I saw Infinity War and I was like, all right, I'm kind of done.
Yeah, but see, I agree with you. Like the rest, I'm not done, but the rest of the films haven't felt good since Infinity War, except for Endgame and Black Panther 2, which was really good. Almost made this list,
Sorry,
but it
I
was
meant
still
Endgame.
included.
I've seen Endgame. I saw Endgame. I
Yeah,
was like
okay.
done. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Into and Across the Spider Verse, really good films. The animation, like I said, is the main reason to watch it. But yeah, they're good films.
Okay, so I'm really curious. Top middle Ludo. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Ludo. It was a band I discovered while randomly, scrolling one of those like recommended for you playlists.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I believe they're classified as like punk rock, I think, or hard rock, something like that. And I liked the first song they did. I tried a couple of others, didn't like them. Went back, a couple weeks later and found some more songs by them I really like. Yeah, I like punk rock or hard rock stuff like that. That album there is, what's that album called? It's called You're Awful, I Love You. It's a really good album. It's got at least 3 songs in there I really like, and the rest I'm sure I have to give more time to start liking them. But all their other albums are really good. If you're into that kind of rock, definitely look them up.
Cool. I'll look into them. Thanks for the
Yeah,
recommend.
anytime. It's like Bops and B Movies 2.0.
Basically, at this point. Shout out? I don't know what the top left one is.
Yeah, that one I put on there is kind of like a whole thing for working at the haunted house this year.
Okay.
I had a lot more things put together for it, and so what happens is the reason I put that on there is there is a company called Scare Factor, I believe, who is a large internet company that reviews haunted houses all over the United States, and one of them is called a Team Houdini, is the team that comes through and reviews. So they were given permission to bring through a camera and record the whole experience of the haunted house,
Mm-hmm.
and talk about it afterwards and give their opinions on things and give a full review. And at the end of the year, the whole company does awards for the different haunted houses. So like they're judging, I don't know how many haunted houses there are. There's at least 50, if not more. And they'll give shout outs to like individual characters or individual haunted houses based on
Mm-hmm.
acting skills or best scare, best facilities, stuff like that. And this year I got a shout out from them for the character I played, which was super cool because again, there's a lot of people being recognized. So to get a shout out amongst all of that was super cool. So yeah, that's what. And then we did some Christmas parades. That was the most fun thing, and I almost put a picture of that in there. The haunted house I work at likes to do Christmas parades now,
Mm-hmm.
where we just take whatever character you're doing and Christmas it up. I put antlers on my scary mask and big Rudolph nose. And yeah, it was a fun, enjoyable year for haunted housing. I had a really good crew I worked with this year. I had 2 other people in my room, and we've been working together for 2 or 3 years now. And yeah, it was a good year.
Yeah. It always seems like you really enjoy doing those.
It's fun. It's fun for a little while, and then it gets a little annoying, and then it gets better.
Fair. Okay, so Shaner, bottom left hand corner, you got a new car, right?
Yeah, that's my picture of my new car. For those that don't know, which is probably almost everyone that listens, except for my dad, um, I was driving a Kia Soul, a lovely vehicle, which was kind of like a hand-me-down for my parents that I paid to fix because it broke. And it was a pain in the butt to fix, but I drove that thing around forever. And then one day driving down the highway, it just died. Turns out I had not been putting enough oil into it, even though I thought I had. So I called my father-in-law. He brought out his car, and we went to Walmart, got enough oil in it to get it to my driveway, where it shut off, and I coasted it right to the end. And then all of a sudden, it was dead for real, and I needed a new car. And yeah, I went out and I bought a actually new car. I think it had one previous owner, but it was only for like a couple months. Um, it's a 2021 Ford EcoSport. It's a lovely vehicle. It's small enough to get, to not have to worry about parking it, but it's big enough to have storage space. And it's nice to have a new car. It's my first car that wasn't like a family car that I used. So yeah, I don't like buying cars. That experience was not fun at all. If you've ever bought a car, you know what I'm talking about. Car salesmen are the worst, with respect to any people listening that are car salesmen. Um, but yeah, so I love my car. It's nice. It gets around really fast. It's got good gas mileage, good storage space. Uh, and yeah, so that was my experience of finally buying a car from a car dealership and not from somebody else.
Nice. Congrats.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll just move on to the right one. Battle Glide? Is that like a VR thing?
Yeah, it was like the VR equivalent of an indie game. I was just scrolling on social media one day and I saw this ad for a little indie VR game called Battle Glide, and it was advertising itself as uh trying to think of how they described it, like the first true Spider-Man VR experience,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like how web shooting and swinging works, which is something I really wanted for a long time. You remember that game we played with the grappling hooks on VR
Oh
chat?
yeah, that was awesome.
Okay, better than that.
Ooh. Okay.
So it's basically like a very graphically deficient version of Spider-Man for the PS4. Same kind of concept, but no like storyline or the graphics are toned down, but what do you expect from an indie VR game?
Right.
But what makes it is the swinging is a ton of fun. You have both your web shooters on your wrists, and you actually have to like pull yourself up. It doesn't drag you along like the grappling hook stud. You actually have to do it, like you were doing Spider-Man moves.
Uh huh.
And it's got a combat system, so it has enemy NPCs that all have guns and stuff, and you can do all the different things. You can yank people up into the air, you can punch them, you can steal the guns out of their hands. So it's a ton of fun. It's got a huge open map. There's not a lot to do necessarily, but swinging around is fun in and of itself. You can stick to walls. Um, and yeah, and there's random encounters you can get where there's enemies to fight in the streets. You can jump into combat zones where you have like a 5 minutes of solid combat. You can find collectibles throughout the city. It's a really fun game, and it's just now starting, so there's obviously going to be more updates as it goes along. So, to get in on not the ground floor, but close enough to it while it was still in what the Quest refers to as the App Lab, which is where they put experimental indie games and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really fun. I definitely recommend it if you're into Spider-Man, um, and wanting to experience what that's like. It's a ton of fun. That was my pick for best gameplay of a VR game this year. But in terms of the social aspect of VR, I think we can both Star Trek Bridge Crew. Yeah, Holly got me into playing that, and I wanted to play it for a while, but I didn't have anyone who did play it, and you kind of need a crew to play that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you know this, but for the people that don't, it's a Star Trek bridge simulator where you have to do all the work and you go on missions and stuff like that. And it's a ton of fun to play with friends. I've played, I don't know, like 7 or 8 missions now, maybe 10, counting the ones that kind of failed. And yeah, it's a ton of fun to play with people you know. And I'm guessing fun to play with people you don't, but I've not done that a whole lot yet. But yeah, VR games have been really solid this year. I had a couple more, but they weren't as good as those two.
Is Battle Guide like your favorite game you've played this year?
Uh, See, that's a hard competition because I like them both for different reasons.
Sure.
Um, I would have to give favorite game in terms of like what I started playing in 2023. Probably the Bridge Crew, just because it's a more fun social experience, and that I think is the best thing about VR, as opposed to like gameplay, graphics, and all that, which isn't always great, especially when you're just playing on a Quest. But being able, especially with people like some people that moved to Kansas that I don't get to see as much anymore.
Fair.
But I remember the first time I booted it up and played with my brother, who I don't see as often anymore because he lives like an hour and a half away and I can't drive that all the time. To see an NPC, like a human NPC, walk up to you and do all the motions while talking,
Yeah.
it's a weird but great experience. So, yeah, I would have to give it to Bridge Crew only because the social aspect of it is what I really like about VR, and that uses it so well.
Okay.
And it's a ton of fun to have to work with people, and actually act like a crew instead of just doing your own thing.
No.
But
Yeah.
Battle Glide close second, just because of how organic the swinging feels in the combat. Whenever you drag someone up towards you into the sky and punch them back down into the ground, then steal another guy's gun and use it to whack another one over the head, it makes you feel like Spider-Man, and it's really good. And it's only just starting, so it's going to get even better from here.
It sounds like you're really fun. That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
All right. The Good Place. I've heard about this. I've seen trailers for it.
Yeah.
Convince me. Why is it on your list?
I had seen it for a while, like I watched the trailers and I was like, it looks like another NBC show, which I don't hate NBC shows. Brooklyn Nine-Nine on my list of favorite TV shows, and same company as that. but I just hadn't watched it for a while. And earlier this year, I don't remember why I had some time off. It wasn't when I was sick, but it was something like that where I had a decent amount of time off to start something. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, you know what? I'll finally jump into it and see what this is all about. And I did not expect the show to be as, even with everything I'd seen from, clips on TikTok and, Instagram reels, I'd seen a lot of it already, had a couple things spoiled for me. Uh, it is a really good show. And every time you think like the next season, like, what are they going to do? They figured out the big mystery. It throws another thing on in a good way. The best part about the show, but also the worst, was the ending. I have never had a show, and I'm trying to think how to put this, a show so viscerally affect me with its ending
Mm.
until I got to that one. And it was kind of like, I can't explain it without spoiling it. And that's one thing you definitely don't want spoiled if you ever plan to watch it. It was just such a thought provoking ending and sad, like a bittersweet kind of ending.
Sure.
And not just because the show is ending, but what happens in the finale was just very, oh, that's good, but also this is sad. And it affected me really deeply for some reason. I don't usually get that emotional about a show and like I get attached to a show and I hate when it ends because I want to see more of it. But this one, I just remember getting to the end and being like, huh, well, what do I do with this? That was, yeah. And if you've ever seen it, you know what I'm talking about. The characters are really funny. And that's the nice thing about this show is it's got, I think there's six main characters and it's the same throughout the entire show. Like they don't add on random ones here and there. You stay with the same six characters. There's little side characters that pop up, for like a couple episodes here and there and come back.
Mm-hmm.
But you really get to know these characters and what makes them tick. Kind of like you were talking about with Star Trek Next Generation,
Yeah.
like the interconnecting, what drives them and stuff like that. And so by the time you get to the finale and everything that happens does happen, you feel it because you've spent so much time building up these storylines and these relationships. But yeah, it's got really good comedy. It's got really good touching moments, a lot of great plot twists, and the acting is great. Kristen Bell, I think, is the lead. Yeah, it's Kristen Bell, and she's hilarious. But also, oh, who plays the other lead on that? Ted something. Can't think of his last name. Uh,
Ted Lasso.
no, which another show I haven't seen, but I've heard is really good. It's
I'm not into soccer, so like I don't really care.
it is his name, Ted Danson, who was famous for being on Cheers, was his big thing. But he plays a really funny character, and yeah, it was just a really good show, a really powerful show, which you don't expect it to be. It looks like an NBC comedy,
Right.
like Parks and Rec, like I said, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, all good shows, but none of those other shows had this kind of emotional weight to it that I wasn't expecting out of such a goofy, funny looking show. So yeah, highly recommended. Um, but yeah, the ending was, it's not hard to watch, but it's kind of just like, it was a heavy ending, which I wasn't expecting. So it really hit hard. But yeah, it's a good show. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again though.
Cool. Maybe I'll check it out then. You're the second
Yeah,
person that's recommended it to me, so maybe I
highly
will.
recommended.
Okay, lastly, Ghostbusters. Shaner, it's
Okay.
2023. What are you doing putting Ghostbusters on your
Yeah,
list?
this one needed explanation. I have seen Ghostbusters many times before 2023. I
Sure.
did just rewatch it, but this was the year I finally put together a professional-ish Ghostbusters cosplay.
Oh, I saw that.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Cassie and I have been toying around with the idea for a while because she really likes that movie also. And so this year we were like, what are we doing for Halloween this year? Let's think about our costume. And I was like, let's finally do Ghostbusters. So I hunted down a lot of pieces, and it's a really fun cosplay to wear because it's comfortable for the one thing. It's just basically like, a one piece jumpsuit, like a work,
Right.
what do you call those? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, a jumpsuit. Yeah.
Yeah, a jumpsuit. And that's about it wow, except for that's the word I'm looking for. Accessories, which are also fun to customize and get. The biggest one being the proton pack. That one took some hunting down, but Spirit Halloween made a life-size recreation of it. And so I was happy to be able to get that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just fun to wear around at cons. Like I said, it's comfortable. I can relax in it. I actually went to Walmart wearing it afterwards. Sorry, I paused there. I looked like my computer was shutting down, but it wasn't. Um, yeah, because my dad and I went to a local Waynesburg toy show. I drove down there for that, and we went to a thrift store and Walmart afterwards, and I wore the cosplay the whole time, and it was just a ton of fun. There's a lot of Ghostbusters cosplayers out there, so there's a big community for it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just something everyone likes. It's not something you have to be in a specific minority to know. Everyone knows Ghostbusters. So yeah, it's a really fun cosplay. It was fun to put together and fun to actually have it all together now. So yeah, it's fun.
Cool. Well, that was a pretty cool list, Shaner. I'll have to check out Ludo. Maybe I'll
Yep.
get to Spider Man. Who knows at this point? But yeah.
Yeah, Ludo, that album, and they have a couple of other songs I can recommend you sometime, but definitely start with You're Awful, I Love You, the album. Drunken Lament. Oh, what's the other one on there? Love Me Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Both really solid songs. If you're into rock and stuff like that, and that kind of like, I want to say grunge rock is the right word, but I don't think it is. But that kind of like, it's not, and I don't mean not clean as in like it's dirty, but like that sound of it,
Yeah, I know what you like, punk almost.
Yeah. So like not like I don't when I say dirty music, I don't mean like, 18 plus,
Yeah.
lyrics and stuff like that, but like dirty is in the way it sounds. It doesn't sound like yeah, that's what I can say about it. So highly recommended.
Cool.
Um,
Well, folks, that is our favorite things of 2023. What did you like that we had on our lists? What are some of your favorite things? Let us know. Tell us in the comments or send us private messages and make fun of us. Whatever. That works too.
you know what? I didn't see Israel on Eddie's list of favorite things
Oh
this year,
my
so we all know where.
gosh.
Sorry, I didn't want to make that joke. You can cut that out. It was just right there, and I thought about it from the beginning of the episode.
I'll leave it in. It's a callback to the beginning. It's the callback to the beginning.
Yeah, we're not getting political.
All right, everyone. Do all the things like, comment, subscribe.
Because you know what happens
share.
if you don't?
Oh, what's going to happen, Shaner?
You know what's going to happen? I'm going to put on my Ghostbusters costume and I'm going to come to your house. And you know what? I'm going to remove all the ghosts from your house. And trust me, there are plenty.
Wow.
And right when you're like, wow, thank you for removing all those ghosts, I'm going to be like, oh, you're welcome. You know what your payment is? Did you subscribe to Small Beards, Big Opinions? And you'll be like, oh, no, I meant to, but I didn't yet. I'm like, well, ghosts are going back inside. And you'll be haunted forever.
Forever.
Forever. And that's a promise.
All right, everyone. Happy New Year. Have a good 2024. We'll see you next time, whatever that is. We're not consistent anymore at this point, so who knows what's going to happen.
Quality over quantity,
We don't have quality or quantity, though.
No, we got quality. These are quality.
That's debatable, but okay.
Don't debase us.
Bye, everyone.
Have some self-confidence.